What they discovered at 11,000 meters deep should never have existed. It is a biological anomaly that defies every law of physics we know. Imagine the scene. 1960. Two men descend into the abyss in a metal sphere. At this depth, pressure reaches 8 tons per square inch, like balancing 3 cars on the tip of your thumb. The entire weight of the ocean crushing down. Every equation pointed to the same conclusion: sterile darkness, a dead zone where life is mathematically impossible. Yet in the beam of their searchlights, Jacques Piccard sees something move. A flat silhouette gliding across the sediment. A fish. But here's where the mystery thickens. Modern science tells us Piccard was mistaken. At 11 kilometers deep, calcium skeletons dissolve. Swim bladders explode. The deepest known fish survives only to 8,300 meters. Below that, the reign of nothingness. So what did he really see? A gelatinous sea cucumber? A species science hasn't discovered? The debate has raged for 65 years because we know the surface of the moon better than the bottom of this trench. But this impossible fish isn't the most disturbing secret of the Mariana Trench, because recently robotic expeditions brought back tissue samples from creatures of the darkness. And what they found inside their cells is a horror no one anticipated. Something that proves the abyss is no longer a sanctuary. What you're about to experience is a layer-by-layer descent into Earth's ultimate frontier. You'll feel the pressure build, the darkness deepen. You'll meet creatures that breathe where you'd be instantly crushed to nothing. Get ready, because at the end of this journey, you'll discover why the Mariana Trench is both our greatest scientific mystery and the proof of a truth about our species we're not ready to face. 1875. HMS Challenger maps the Pacific with lead weights on ropes. For months, depths are routine. 3 kilometers. 4. Then, southwest of Guam, the weight drops. 5. 6. 7. 8 kilometers. Still falling. Over 8 when it hits bottom. They measure again. Same result. They've found a wound deeper than anything in human experience and sail away. The Mariana Trench, a crescent-shaped scar in the western Pacific, 2,000 kilometers east of the Philippines. It stretches 2,000 kilometers long and 70 kilometers wide. The lowest point, Challenger Deep, reaches 10,984 meters below sea level. To grasp that depth, you could stack 33 Eiffel Towers on top of each other, and the top of the last one would just barely break the surface. A scar so immense it would be visible from the moon, yet so deep that no ray of sunlight has ever touched the bottom. The trench exists because of tectonic violence. The Pacific Plate, 170 million years old, is diving beneath the Mariana Plate in subduction, one piece of Earth's crust consuming another. As the plate descends, rock compresses and heats, releasing radioactive minerals, uranium, thorium, potassium-40. Hydrothermal vents spew water loaded with these isotopes, settling into sediment. But there's a second radioactivity source, entirely human. 1950s to 60s nuclear tests released massive carbon-14 into the atmosphere. Surface plankton absorbed it. When they died, they sank as marine snow, feeding abyssal creatures. Result? Mariana Trench crustaceans carry higher carbon-14 levels than surface organisms. The trench acts as a funnel, accumulating our nuclear legacy. Abyssal creatures are a chemical black box, preserving Cold War mistakes made 70 years ago 11 kilometers above. 0 to 200 meters. The sunlight zone. Light penetrates, colors exist. This is the ocean you know. But creatures rise from the deep at night to feed, then descend before dawn. Vertical migrants carrying secrets from the abyss. This zone is a comfortable illusion before the descent begins. 200 to 1,000 meters. The twilight zone. The light is dying, not gradually, violently. Colors are being murdered by the water above. Red dies first, absorbed completely by 200 meters. Then orange bleeds away, yellow fades, green dissolves. By 600 meters, only a sickly blue remains. By 1,000 meters, even that is gone. Your eyes would be useless here. The human eye needs light to function. There is none. The pressure builds with every meter you descend. Your chest tightens. Sinuses scream. Eardrums rupture inward, unable to equalize. If you tried to breathe, your ribs would bend inward like cage bars closing. Creatures here have evolved enormous eyes, bulging from skulls like telescopes, desperate to capture the last dying photons filtering down. The hatchetfish drifts past, nearly two-dimensional, a blade of flesh hovering in water. Its silver body is perfectly mirrored, reflecting microscopic light. From below, invisible. From above, a ghost. Eyes pointed straight up, scanning for silhouettes. When it sees prey, it rises like a knife through the dark and strikes. No warning, just brutal efficiency. Bioluminescence becomes the primary language. Fish weaponize light, flashing to attract, pulsing to confuse, dangling glowing lures to draw prey close enough to devour. You're only 1/10 of the way down. Already, your body would be failing. 1,000 to 4,000 meters. The midnight zone. Total darkness. Not cave darkness. This is the absence of light on a molecular level. Photons do not reach here. The sun is a myth. The pressure is 100 times surface. Your lungs collapse flat like crushed plastic bottles. Your air-filled sinuses cave inward. Eardrums rupture. Blood vessels burst. You wouldn't implode like a metal submarine. Your body is mostly water, and water doesn't compress. But your air-filled cavities would violently collapse. You'd be lethally crushed, compressed into something smaller, denser. Death would be instant. The creatures here have no air pockets to compress. Their bodies are soft, gelatinous. They've become the pressure. The gulper eel emerges from the black like a nightmare swimming through ink. Its mouth is an obscenity, grotesquely oversized, larger than its entire body. The jaw unhinges to absurd angles, opening wider than seems possible. When it feeds, you see through its skin. The stomach distends like a translucent balloon, revealing the writhing silhouette of whatever it just swallowed whole. The eel doesn't chew. It opens that cavernous maw and waits until something brushes against it. The jaw snaps shut with hydraulic force. The prey disappears. You watch the victim die inside, dissolving through transparent flesh. The fang-toothed fish appears, 6 inches, with teeth so long it can't close its mouth. It swims jaws open, impaling anything in its path. The vampire squid drifts past. When threatened, it turns itself inside out, webbed arms folding backward, exposing bioluminescent photophores that erupt in blinding blue flashes. The display sears dark adapted eyes. When the threat passes, it slowly folds back to normal, like some deep-sea flower opening. Food is scarce. Most creatures survive on marine snow, the constant rain of death from above. Corpses, feces, fragments dissolving as they sink. Death from above sustains life below. Your body would be in agony, every nerve screaming. The ocean doesn't care. 4,000 to 6,000 meters. The abyssal zone. The abyssal zone. The vast plains of the deep ocean floor. The pressure is 600 times surface. Your ribs crushing organs. Skull compressing your brain. Eyes bulging from sockets. Every bone bending inward, trying to escape the impossible force. Sound travels faster. But there's nothing to make sound. The ocean is silent. No waves, no motion. Just the weight of kilometers pressing down. The snailfish appears, a translucent blob with fins. Bones dissolved, replaced by flexible cartilage. It produces TMO, a chemical that stabilizes proteins under crushing pressure. Molecular armor against the impossible. The amphipod scuttles across the sea floor. On the surface, amphipods are tiny. Here, hand-sized. Abyssal gigantism. When researchers analyzed their tissues, they found plastic fibers, industrial pollutants, human chemicals in a creature that's never seen sunlight. We poisoned it anyway. Then you see it. The magna pinna squid. It hovers like something that shouldn't obey physics. 6 meters long, arms extending in impossibly thin filaments, delicate as hair. The arms dangle straight down, perfectly still, reaching depths below the squid's body, 10 times longer than its mantle. Your brain refuses to process it. It doesn't move like a living thing. It hovers like a spacecraft, motionless except for micro-adjustments so subtle they're almost invisible. Then it moves, slowly, with a grace that seems fundamentally wrong. The arms don't flex, they drift. The squid tilts, rotates. The movement is too smooth, too deliberate, like watching something operate on a different timescale than biology. We've filmed it, never caught one. No idea how it hunts, reproduces, or why it evolved that form. It exists in footage like a transmission from another dimension, present but unexplained. The wrongness of its movement haunts marine biologists. It doesn't swim, it doesn't float. It exists in the water as if the ocean holds it suspended, as if the magna pinna negotiated a separate peace with gravity and pressure that the rest of biology never discovered. Below 6,000 meters, the hadal zone. The hadal zone, named after Hades. Only 2% of Earth's seafloor reaches these depths. Life becomes sparse, but not empty. Sea cucumbers process sediment. Bacterial colonies use chemosynthesis, deriving energy from hydrogen sulfide and methane. Toxic compounds are their food. Life without the sun, an ecosystem independent of photosynthesis. Proof that life doesn't need light, just chemistry. Here's what should terrify you. We've barely explored any of this. The hadal zone, depths below 6,000 meters, comprises only 45 trenches globally. The Mariana Trench is one. We've identified approximately 400 species across all hadal environments combined. 400 species. In all the deepest parts of all the oceans on Earth. A typical lake contains thousands of species. A coral reef hosts tens of thousands. But the hadal zone? 400. This is the exploratory equivalent of finding a single ant in a football stadium plunged into total darkness. We've identified the ant, we've examined it, and now we're claiming to understand the stadium. The entire ecosystem, the vast majority of life adapted to these depths, remains unknown, hidden, waiting in a darkness we've barely touched. While biologists look down at the Mariana Trench and see a fragile sanctuary we barely understand, other forces look down and see deposits. The bottom of the Marianas is no longer a forgotten desert. It has become the new battlefield of a submarine Cold War. China and the United States race to the bottom, not for science, for rare earths, manganese nodules, metals that power smartphones and electric cars. Billions of tons in the abyss. China deploys autonomous robots, mechanical monsters built to resist crushing pressure. Permanent stations, mining machines to scrape the sea floor. These aren't explorers, they're industrial harvesters descending to face the biological monsters, steel against flesh. Imagine the stadium again. We've found an ant. Before turning on the lights, we've sent in bulldozers. We're industrializing a world we haven't read the first page of. You might think this place, 11,000 meters down, is the last pure refuge. False. 2019. Scientists analyzed amphipods from Challenger Deep. Inside, microplastics. Chemical pollutants banned since the 1970s. Industrial compounds that traveled from land through rivers, dissolved, sank for years. Imagine poison thrown into a European river. It travels, dissolves, sinks 11 kilometers deep into a creature that's never seen light. Candy wrappers on sediment, plastic bags drifting next to million-year-old creatures. The most remote place on Earth, farther than the ISS, is contaminated. The Mariana Trench is Earth's siphon. Everything we discard falls here. We've transformed nature's last temple into a pressurized landfill. We contaminated the inaccessible before exploring it. We spend billions planting flags in radioactive mud 11,000 meters deep, racing to claim territory we can't inhabit, mining ecosystems we don't understand. Yet we can't keep the surface clean. Are we explorers or parasites possessing what we're destroying? The Mariana Trench represents two collisions. First, tectonic subduction, Earth consuming Earth. Second, human ambition versus planetary limits. The trench will outlast us. Subduction continues. Pressure crushes everything we build. But the creatures, snailfish, amphipods, bacteria, might not outlast our pollution. An uncontrolled experiment. How much contamination before collapse? The answer waits in darkness. In a stadium we've barely entered. Among species we've never seen. Should we keep descending? Or learn to care for the world we've reached?